Hey guys, what's up? It is 12:33 p.m. Pacific time on this 6th of March, Thursday, March 6th, 2025. And yeah, you can see the screen here. I want to talk about JellyStone, and it has officially come to an end as of today. As I drink some Coca-Cola there. But yeah, it has come to an end as of today here in the U.S., the Western Hemisphere. It's already debuted its second half of its third and final season, known as Season 3B. It already debuted in other parts of the world, and I know this, and a lot of other people know this due to the fact that there were leaks, information coming about of episodes and everything that were going to be part of it. And one of the episodes that was going to be part of it, it was actually kind of its own little special. It had another special as well as a part of this. But the one that got hyped up the most was the mid-season premiere, the special 22-minute crossover event called Crisis on Infinite Mirths. And this was basically a way to pay homage to the legacy of Cartoon Network and cross them over with, what basically brought them to the dance, which basically was their foundation of how they came to be. Basically what gave them the opportunities to, to shine and everything, and be the shows, be the network that it was once known as. And they got a lot of characters crossing over, from the OG Powerpuff Girls to Johnny Bravo to Cheeseburger, it sounded like. They had Freddy from Foster's Imaginary Friends, which, by the way, for some odd reason, her fantasy that she dreamt of called Freddyrella, if you will, has been getting some traction lately. I think that was a fantasy she had in an episode. We have, my gym partner is a monkey was in there. We had, again, like I said, we had Powerpuff Girls, we had Samurai Jack, Ed, and Eddie, Dexter of Dexter's Laboratory, along with Dee Dee. We had, Kids Next Door, Billy and Mandy, and so on. And it looks like Grim Reaper losing his remote was the reason this all happened, because the two main characters that were kind of like the focal point of this crossover were Cindy Bear of JellyStone and Mojo Jojo of Powerpuff. And I guess either one of them, if not both, got a hold of Grimm's remote, and this all kind of came to be, this kind of crossover Avengers-like event. And you could tell it's Avengers inspired just by the portals opening up, and how all these characters from the Cartoon Network runs that they had, or the Cartoon Network era, they were coming through the portals, and they started to fight off against everybody at JellyStone, or even make friends with them, because apparently one of the friendships that got developed were between Dee Dee and the female Jabberjaw, who, by the way, we find out is not the original Jabberjaw. She's not the original Jabberjaw. She's not gender bent, as some people thought she was. I guess the people behind the show heard the complaints, and they're like, yeah, we need to kind of basically correct that and everything. And we find out that Jabberjaw, the female Jabberjaw, is the daughter of the original Jabberjaw. Yeah, they basically corrected that little issue there. I don't know if they're going to do it with Loop-de-Loop and basically say it's the same thing with her, or the octopus Goodly Diddly. I don't know if they're going to do that as well. I haven't watched all the episodes yet, but yeah, from the previews, the sneak peeks, the leaks that have come out, it seems that they are not only giving us a crossover event between the Cartoon Network era of stars and shows, with the JellyStone characters, but they're also correcting certain complaints. They're also kind of rectifying certain complaints that fans have had, about gender-bent characters in JellyStone. Excuse me. Now, one of the interesting things about JellyStone, as well, is it also brought in characters you didn't think they would bring in. because it's very early Hanna-Barbera, Yogi Bear era focused, if you will. I'm trying to find the right word. It's very Yogi Bear, Yogi Bear era focused on the characters in the city of JellyStone. It's very focused in that area, to where the main characters are Yogi, Cindy, Boo Boo, Huckleberry Hound, Crickjaw McGraw as El Kabong, and and Augie Doggy and Daddy Doggy, and Augie, Augie's gender bent to be female now, and so on. So those are the main cast of characters, the main focal point. But over time, you started seeing other characters, and some characters would get focal point focused episodes as well as focused mini episodes, because sometimes the episodes would be split into 2 stories, and basically in some of these mini stories, they would get focal points. The newer characters you didn't even think would show up. Like they have an episode this season, in this second half of season 3, focused on Thundar the Barbarian, a Ruby Spears, not Hanna-Barbera, Ruby Spears show from the 80s. And here it's called Thunder the Barbarian. Thunder the Barbarian. He wants to be a barber. So you got that. You also have other characters that showed up as well. Like, of course, surprise, surprise, the Scooby-Doo gang showed up at one point. Flintstones did show up this year. In this season, I should say, finally, after they were first thought to be extinct or animatronic, they showed up, flesh and blood. Jetsons showed up before them. So a lot of characters you didn't think would, be in this kind of a show, did end up showing up and being part of it and playing some kind of role or something. And when I see that as well, I kind of feel it's an homage to the classic specials that used to be in the 80s as well, mostly the holiday specials, if you will, like Yogi's Christmas Caper and all that. They had Fred and Barney in that, and then Laugh Olympics, that show as well. So you had your fair amount and everything of characters crossing over from different generations and eras, to where them showing up in JellyStone was was almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed it would happen. Just don't know how they would make it work. But you knew it was almost guaranteed to occur in one way or another, to where basically you could tell that the way they inserted them, it was paying homage to how they would appear in other specials and shows in the past. Basically, just checking something there. But basically, yeah, it was guaranteed, obviously as the show went on, that you knew you're going to see more characters, the way things were hinted as well to animatics and Comic-Cons and all that. It was almost guaranteed you were going to see these characters, without a shadow of a doubt, And then, of course, when it got announced last year, I don't know if it's San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con, one of them. But when it got announced that we were going to get, I'm just adjusting something there, we were going to get the Cartoon Network JellyStone crossover, and you saw little animatics, works in progress, finished work, and all that of who was going to cross over. It was like, oh, cool, this is going to be great to see, because now you're getting an opportunity, maybe for the final time ever, you get to see these characters come back that you fell in love with from certain shows. And I think also the reason they did this is so that way they could see whether or not there's still a love for these characters, to maybe try to revive them, not for Cartoon Network, but maybe for Max down the line, because we're hearing about all these shows that Max is pulling. I'm assuming temporarily, not indefinitely. They're pulling and to make room for new content. It makes me wonder if they're doing that so that in the future they could say, hey, we're going to bring out a new revised version of Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends, or Johnny Bravo, or Kids Next Door, and so on. It makes you wonder, if that's what they're going to end up doing in the future, and that's why they put this together, to see if maybe there is still a fan base for certain characters they would like to see come back. I mean, we know recently Tartakovsky brought back Samurai Jack, and he's a part of this. So you got to wonder if maybe they want to try that again as well in the future with Samurai Jack, but we'll have to see. I mean, like I said, the characters they had in there from Cartoon Network, from basically from Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls to the parody of the Avengers, and all that, with those three superhero characters that would have their own short in the Dexter Laboratory show, to Adventure Time with Finn and Princess Bubblegum and so on, and even references you wouldn't think they would do, they ended up doing, which was a huge surprise, I think, to a lot of folks and everything. They did references and had cameos from characters from Cartoon Network shows that you didn't think they would deep dive and look into and all that. I'm getting a little tongue-tied, guys. I do apologize. I'm focusing on the image while I'm doing this, when I'm recording, so I do apologize. My brain's going everywhere right now. I do apologize for that. But like I said, what I was trying to mention is you have characters being referenced and cameoed that, as some people put it, would deep dives for Warner Brothers, for the team behind the show, to really get into, to really bring to the table, bring to the forefront. But yeah, the episode, I honestly I haven't watched it all the way through because I just haven't had the opportunity. I'm going to do that later. But yeah, so far from what people have said, the clips and the screenshots, someone even posted the whole episode on Twitter, aka X, and everything. They did that, and everybody has said it's been good. It's really, really good. And if there's one thing I do want to make a correction of, not a correction, but one thing I want to point out about JellyStone that some people have to understand is this is not the prime universe for these Hanna-Barbera classic characters, okay? This is not the prime universe for these characters. This is more along the lines of a alternate universe. It's more this is more along the lines of an alternate take, if you will. It's more along the lines of an alternate take on the characters and how they could be represented if they all lived within the confines of their own community and world. That's what JellyStone is. It's not meant to be the prime universe. It's not basically to say that these are the prime characters. No. This is an alternate take on the characters and how they could be represented differently. And I bring that up because one thing that really stuck out in the crossover special for JellyStone versus Cartoon Network, one thing that stuck out was the sudden romance between Mojo Jojo and Cindy Bear. And it's like, whoa, this suddenly came out of nowhere. I mean, obviously there were like little teases that there might be a connection between them. But I don't think anybody realized it, or thought, I should say, and realized they would go to the point that, as you can see here on the screen, they would kiss. They would actually kiss and everything. It just felt, I guess you could say, a little off or a little strange that they would go that route with them. Not only being the focal point of the special, but putting them in a romantic like scenario, and all because of the fact that Cindy wants somebody that understands her. And the person that understands her obviously is from the Cartoon Network verse and everything. But yeah, that is probably one of the shockers of the special, is they went and did that romance. But like I said, people need to realize that saw this and may have not liked it, or may have been like, okay, that's a change. That's out of nowhere. What the heck? People have to understand this is an alternate world. These are alternate takes on Cindy and Yogi and all of them. This is alternate takes. Because we all know that the prime Yogi, the prime Cindy, we know the OGs are in love with each other. We know that. They've been in love with each other since basically 1960. Almost, what is it now? 65 years. Excuse me. 65 years. They've been in love with each other. And if you don't count the cartoon, the OG cartoon, and you count the movie, you count the movie and all that, if you do that, they've been in love with each other for 61 years. Going on 61 years this summer. So, for anybody that looks at that and they're like, whoa, that was kind of a surprise, but then we're glad it was only for the special and that's it. Again, you have to realize that these are alternate takes on Cindy. This is an alternate take on Yogi. Alternate take on Boo Boo, Huckleberry, Snagglepuss, you name it. Excuse me. Drinking some Coca-Cola there. But these are just alternate takes, and people need to realize that. They're not to be taken seriously whatsoever. They're not supposed to be taken seriously whatsoever. When you watch a show like this or watch a crossover special like this, they're not to be taken seriously. And I don't. I don't take them seriously. I mean, I like the idea that Cindy's a little bit more cartoony, a little bit more silly, a little bit more Looney Toony, if you will. I like that. I like that they're doing that with her character, and hopefully that opens the doors that when they bring her back, along with Yogi and Boo Boo, we see more of that sillier, Looney Toony, Tex Avery side. Hopefully we see more of that in the future. But for anybody that may have not liked, that little romance there, don't worry about it. Again, it was only done for the special, and it's non-canon, and because of the fact that these are alternate takes on the characters. Now, again, guys, I do apologize if I kind of got a little tongue-tied earlier. Again, I was looking at the image, and I was trying to think about what I was going to say, and brain got a little scrambled there, so I do apologize. I do apologize for that moment from earlier. But, like I said, the point I'm getting at is you don't need to take this seriously whatsoever. Now, for the run that it had, for the 3-season run that it had, did JellyStone do the job it needed to do? Did it pay homage to the OG Hanna-Barbera roster, along with the guest characters and all that? Did it do its job? Yes, it did. Did it give us a nice alternate take on our favorite classic Hanna-Barbera characters? Did it do its job in doing that? Yes, it did do its job. Again, like I said, I like what they did with Cindy. I like what they did with Yogi. I like it, and hopefully we'll see more of that in the future. Hopefully we'll see more of that in the future. I do like the fact that they went in that direction. They took a chance and decided to kind of mess around with the characters to see how people would react if a character that normally wouldn't be this way would act this way. So I like that. I do like the fact that they took that chance. I really do. And with the special, I haven't watched all of it full or all the way through or anything, but from what people have leaked, posted up and everything, it talked about even uploading the whole episode online. From what I've heard and seen so far, I think it's good. I think they're doing a great job. I think they did a great job. Let me correct myself. I think they did a great job and everything with it. The sudden romance with Cindy and Mojo, again, it's a one-time deal. Don't worry about it, because one, alternate take on Cindy, and two, was only meant for this special only. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that whatsoever. But I like what they did here. And again, as you can see through the images, they brought just about everybody out. They brought everybody out to the party. I mean, Chowder's in there and everything. Like I said, they had characters from Courage the Cowardly Dog in there. They have, what else do they have? Like I said, they have Foster's Imaginary Friends. They have Dexter's Laboratory. My gym partner's a monkey. I think that's what the show was called. Again, Johnny Bravo. Some obscure ones like, Cheeseburger and stuff. And then they took a little pot shot at a reboot here, because what they did here, there's a screenshot here, and everybody's talking about this because of the fact that it's just like one little moment and that's it. You have Bubbles of the OG Powerpuff Girls socking and basically blowing up the reboot version of herself. So that to me is basically the people behind the special basically telling the people that worked on the reboot, the reboot sucked. The OG rules. That's why they did it. But also what this was in a lot of people's eyes, when they saw the ending of the special, because people did upload the ending, or the screenshots as well and described it, is basically the ending was like a crack shot, a pot shot, crack shot, if you will, at Cartoon Network, in the way it's been acting up lately over the past 10 years, 10, 15 years, and it's changing of shows and going in this direction and that direction and stuff like that, and removing shows it shouldn't be removing. Just drinking more Coca-Cola. And, I could see that just by the fact that the ending shot had Cindy communicating with Mojo, and then all of a sudden Mojo's talking in the middle of them talking. It goes to static, and you see the cheeseburger characters and all that. So obviously, people feel like that was a pot shot, a crack shot at them, and everything for doing that all the time and just not sticking with what brought them to the dance and everything. So yeah, it might have been a crack shot as well, the special, and mostly the ending. Might have been a crack shot and everything, but mostly a lot of people feel like outside of that little pot shot at the conclusion of the special, that it was mostly an homage to Cartoon Network to kind of, as I said earlier, bring them together with basically the core cast of characters that laid the foundation for their shows, for their characters, to be brought into existence later on. So, I totally agree with that perspective more than anything, that it was an homage to Cartoon Network and its legacy, but also to kind of bring them together with the classic characters that paved the way, that laid the foundation for the Cartoon Network era of shows and characters to become what they were and still are to this day. And again, for anybody that looked at the Cindy and Mojo romance, don't take that seriously whatsoever, because it was only done for the special. And again, JellyStone is an alternate reality, alternate universe, not the prime one of all these characters. Because here's what's interesting. When you look at MeTV, MeTV Tunes, and you look at all these releases and stuff that come out through Warner Archive and such, they focus more on the OG representation of the characters and not the not the new versions. So that kind of basically should send a message in a way that, again, JellyStone is a fun little romp, of a show, comedic show, and take on the characters, but also the fact that it is an alternate take. It's a different universe, if you will. It's like part of a Hanna-Barbera cinematic television universe, if you put it that way. That's what it is. It's part of a multiverse It's basically part of a Hanna-Barbera television universe. It's a different take, it's a different world, different versions of the characters. And that's something I wish they could have done too, honestly. And maybe they should look into it as a one-time special in the future, where you have the JellyStone. You do basically like a sequel to this, a follow-up to this, but instead of Cartoon Network characters, you bring in the OG Hanna-Barbera characters. Hear me out. If they want to do a follow-up, just like a one-time special, 1 hour or 45-minute special, whatever you want to call it, for Max and everything, to me, what they should do is, they should make it basically as a crossover to where you have the JellyStone versions of the classic characters meeting and crossing over with the OG Primeverse characters, or Primeverse versions of them, is what I'm trying to say. So can you imagine maybe a moment where you have JellyStone Cindy meeting OG Cindy, and then JellyStone Cindy and her are going back and forth on the similarities and the differences, their histories. And can you imagine OG Cindy's reaction if, as the JellyStone Cindy references this special in her little romance with Mojo? Can you imagine OG Cindy's reaction? She could be like, why would you fall in love with somebody that's not Yogi? I thought no matter, what reality or world we could exist in, Yogi and I are meant to be. Can you imagine that exchange, like, that moment to where she hears this and she's like, but I thought, like with me, you're with Yogi and everything. Imagine that exchange, if the JellyStone Cindy was to reference her little time with her little romance with Mojo to the OG Cindy, if they were to do a follow-up with this where, to my opinion, and I think it would work, they have the JellyStone take on the characters meet the OG take on the characters. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine Squiddly Diddly, the female version, meeting up with the male version. Or imagine male Augie Doggy meeting female the Augie Doggy. Just saying. Or female Jabba Jaw meeting male Jabba Jaw. Now you might say, well, they already did that. You just mentioned that. I know. But what I'm saying is that the way they corrected that is they had the OG Jabba Jaw be her father. She just took his name on, as part of to continue the legacy or something. But what I'm getting at is if you ignore that and you say, okay, we want the OG, our Jabba Jaw that would go, woo, 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 woo. Oh, what a moment. Woo, 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 woo. You do that. You bring in that OG Jabba Jaw crossing over with this in a follow-up to that, a follow-up to the special, and he meets the female Jabba Jaw, and then maybe he meets the father of her, and he's just going, woo, 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 woo. I mean, come on, you can't tell me that wouldn't be something that you wouldn't be into. You can't tell me that wouldn't be something you'd be into. You can't tell me that wouldn't be something that you'd be into. I mean, I would love to see something like that. I would love to see something like that, honestly. But the point I'm getting at is it's something they should consider. Like if you're gonna do a crossover with Cartoon Network, pay homage to them, and even take a little pot shot at them at the end, I think honestly doing a follow up where you bring in the OG characters, the JellyStone characters, and have them meet and see the similar and have them share similarities, if not differences between them, I think would be money. I think it would be golden, if you will, because again, you can't tell me the interaction between OG Cindy and JellyStone Cindy wouldn't be fun, especially if JellyStone Cindy brings up the fact that she had this little romance with Mojo, and OG Cindy could point out, well, where I come from, and possibly in other versions of another world versions of us, I'm with Yogi. Why would you not be with Yogi? So to me. You can't. So to me, I would definitely like seeing something like that, and you can't tell me you wouldn't like something that as well. But overall, the special, from what people have said so far, and from what I've seen so far, definitely looks really good. It did its job to pay homage to the Cartoon Network era shows and characters. Of course, like I said, they took the little pot shot and everything at the end. So yeah, to me it did its job. And what's great too is they brought back, as much as they could, they brought back all the OG characters, including the OG character of Space Ghost before he unfortunately passed away recently. They brought him back to voice Space Ghost in this crossover as well. Just like they had him voice the character in previous appearances in JellyStone, they were able to get him back here in time to do the character's voice again before he passed away for the special. Drinking some Coca-Cola. But yeah, it was nice that they were able to do that, and it was not, and hopefully maybe this might trigger maybe something at Warner Brothers, at Cartoon Network, at Max, to revise these characters, for new shows. Again, they're taking out some shows and everything, for what reason we don't know, but apparently if they're doing that, hopefully it means they're going to open the floodgates, if you will, to basically, do revisings, little soft reboots, if not reboots, of the shows, and bring these characters back to be part of it, and maybe do a different little take on them, if you will, that that pays homage, pays honor to the original, but is its own thing as well, just like JellyStone's doing. It did. JellyStone, it was its own thing. It was a different take, alternate universe, but it was paying tribute to the classic characters that put Hanna-Barbera on the map in the first place. It was just a different take on them, different environment, alternate universe, and everything. Which again, if you weren't too thrilled about the Cindy Mojo romance in the crossover, don't take that so seriously. It was only meant for the special, nothing more. And as far as I could tell, just like looking at little clips here and there from the episodes that follow, it really had no significance later on. No significance, whatsoever later on and all that. So I wouldn't take it too seriously, like I said. I wouldn't take it too seriously whatsoever because it was just meant for the special, and that's about it. That's about it. But overall, if I was to look overall, with this being the last season, this being the last half of the entire show, last half season of the entire show, season 3B. If I was to, kind of look at it and give it a grade, I'd have to say give it an A grade, an A plus. I wouldn't say A plus because I know there are some people that probably weren't thrilled with the take of the characters and everything. I get that, but I'm definitely going to give it an A because to me, they took a chance, they took a risk, and by taking that chance and risk, they basically said, "Look, this is our take on the characters. You may not agree with them. That's fine, but it's just our way of paying homage to these classic characters, these classic icons, and how they put Hanna-Barbera on the map." But again, they obviously they wanted to kind of take them in a different direction, and kind of present them in a way that was like, okay, this who these characters are, but have you ever seen them like in this kind of dynamic and everything, if you will? Have you ever thought you would see them like this? And yeah, it was a risk. It was definitely a risk. There's no doubt. But I'm glad they took it, and I thoroughly have enjoyed what I've seen. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll get some new material out of this in the future, and maybe they might consider doing a follow-up with this where, again, we get the JellyStone cast of characters meeting the OG Prime versions of themselves. And who's to say, that won't happen, and if it does, again, can you imagine the interactions between the OG characters and the JellyStone counterparts? Just saying. But anyway, JellyStone, I thought, did a good job in honoring the classic characters, but also taking them in a different direction, putting them in this alternate universe, in this alternate setting. Which again, don't take whatever you see in there happening too seriously. Like Cindy and Mojo having a little romance and everything, don't take that too seriously, and all that, because again, alternate universe, alternate timelines, and all that, different take on the characters. Don't worry about it. It's only a one-time deal. It doesn't even get referenced later on. But let me know what your thoughts were on JellyStone overall as a whole. What did you like about it? What did you take away from it? Do you think hopefully we'll get more out of it down the line, like some new Yogi Bear, Cindy Bear, Boo Boo stuff? Do you think we'll get some new Huckleberries, some new Quick Draw? What are your thoughts overall on the show, and what do you think we'll get out of it? Do you think we might get a one-time follow-up to maybe the JellyStone cast of characters meet the OG cast? Let me know if you would be interested in that. I know I would. And what did you think of the crossover overall? If you've seen it, what did you take away from it? What did you like about it? Were you okay with the little romance that was meant only for the special between Cindy and Mojo? Or were you kind of taken aback, like going, yeah, that's not right. That's not right. They shouldn't have done that. What was your take on it? Or were you cool with it because you knew it was only meant for the special and that was it, nothing to worry about, and it wasn't the OG Cindy that we know? What were your thoughts on? What is your takeaway on that? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as on the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, ring the bell for notifications, and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can follow me, not just follow me, but you can also find me, at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Audible from Amazon, Radio Public, Overcast. Anywhere there's a podcast, you will find me there as well. You can also find me at VENMO at BWRoses, Odyssey.com at BWRoses.5. You can also find me at Rumble.com at BWRoses. You can find me at Patreon.com at BWRoses, where I do have a new video up, first time in a while, under the $3 and $5 tier. The tiers are $1 to help support the channel, $3 to help support as well as get exclusive video content you can't get anywhere else. And the $5 tier gets you the other two, as well as a future bonus Q&As, and I'll let you know when those happen. I'll let you know when those happen in the future if you're curious about that as well. Also, you can find me at deviantart.com at BVW1979, inkbunny.net at BWRoses. You can check out the Teespring store as well for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Also, follow me on Twitter, aka X at BWRoses, Blue Sky at BWRoses, and on TikTok at BWRoses. But guys, give me your thoughts overall on the JellyStone special. What did you think of it overall? Did you enjoy it? Like I said, what did you think of JellyStone overall as a series? Did you think it was a nice homage to the classic Hanna-Barbera characters with a different twist and alternate take, if you will, on them in this alternate world and timeline? And what did you think of the special overall? And were you okay with this little short romance between Cindy and Mojo in the special? Or were you like, yeah, that's not right, that shouldn't be at all, they shouldn't have done that? What was your take? Let me know. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you all later. You have a good day. God bless.